Hello, Soul Spiralers, and welcome to today's episode. Today, I'm here with Sean Kolders. He's a beautiful friend of mine and an energy worker, a coach, a mentor, an intuitive channel. I've worked with him in theta healing and human design, and we always chat about these things. And so I'm very excited to have an expansive conversation about someone who is also very about healing the body holistically from the mind, body, and soul, not just looking at one area alone. So thank you for coming on the podcast with me, Sean.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This is my first official podcast, so I'm excited.
Wow, I didn't know I was your first person.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
I've done one before, although I don't think it got published. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this will definitely be published.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Awesome.
good at taking action on that. So part of the reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast today was to talk about, obviously, the things that we often chat about. One of those things being human design. And when I asked you to come on the podcast to talk about human design, you're like, oh, I don't know, but usually I like reading people's charts. And I said, well, you can read my chart, or you can talk to me about aspects of my chart, because a lot of the podcasts that I've listened to talking about human design are more like talking about man-gen or like even reflectors. But we'll get to what I am in a second. But there's also so many aspects of it that I don't quite understand, like the different numbers and like there's all this stuff about the gates that you always talk to me about as well. But let's take a pause for a second before we like go into that. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about your background and to who you are and how you've stepped into the world of where we are today?
All right. Yeah. Well, there's a bit to unpack there, but to keep it simple,
yeah.
I guess going off the human design thread, I just felt naturally drawn to astrology, like around like, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, I think I started looking at it. I can't remember exactly when, but yeah, I first felt drawn to astrology. And yeah, I sort of got into that for a fair while. And then 2016, I found human design and sort of looked at it and then didn't look at it. And then, yeah, about 2.5 years ago, I think it was May 2019, I like committed to living my sacral experiment. So I'm a pure manifesting generator. So my sacral is my true authority. And yeah, from doing that experiment, I got things for free. I won things. I just had so much validation from the universe that listening to my gut was true and correct for me, and following my mind was probably part of the reason why I wasn't in as much alignment as I could be. So yeah, I haven't formally studied human design. I've been told by an astrologer that I have a placement in my chart that means I could be successful from like astrology and whatnot. So yeah, I guess my human design journey, which really I see it as astrology, human design, the I Ching, and the gene keys. I sort of like put them all together. I love all of them. And I guess when I'm working with clients, I use whatever I feel drawn to, because they all have it's like a different way of speaking the same language. So yeah, I am self-learning, self-taught, and it's through my desire or my path of getting to know myself more deeply that I've really like learned a lot about them. And I guess, it's like I love learning about my own chart, but then I also realize like through my own journey, like even though I don't have like gate 64, I still require to learn about gate 64 because it is a part of my genetics. We have all of the 64 keys or 64 codons, whatever you want to call the gates or the whatnot as a part of us.
So the gates could be called the codons or the keys as well, because that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so like obviously gene keys calls them gene keys, the I Ching calls them gates, human design calls them gates. And
gene keys also calls them codons, like they use keys and codons. And I resonate a lot with gene keys, which I was always like a bit anti-human design. And then in meeting you and my other friend Jessie, like you guys connected it to the gene keys for me. And then that made more sense and it felt more expansive because like you were saying, like there are 64 gene keys and we experience all of those gene keys through the structure of our DNA and the different things that they bring. And so then the human design kind of bridges it for a person as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, even like in science, I think we have like 64 codons in our genetic makeup as well. So yeah, that's how that ties in. Yeah, it's, Richard Rudd is such an embodiment of, those higher frequencies. That's why he's brought this soul medicine through. I just made that up then. But yeah, that's why he's brought this through.
And he's the one that created the Gene Keys.
The Gene Keys, yeah.
He went on, I read his thing, he went on like a meditation and he'd been reading the I Ching and all of a sudden he like had this whole download about that.
He's an early adopter of the human design system. He learned, he learned, from my understanding, I think he learned human design from Ra himself. Ra Uru.
That
yeah, he's got a real name. That's not his real name.
Yeah, that's really, I really like the way that you introduced that there. And yeah, because I personally love astrology. We've bonded on astrology as well, with our matching moons.
Yeah.
Also.
Well, there's a few more. I think we've both got our Mars in the 10th house. We've got. I'd have to look at it again. We've got a few similarities.
Yeah, we'll have a look. And I find astrology quite expansive because everyone can experience all of the zodiac, and because we live in a world that we experience all of those things, but then you have your main things that fit into your chart.
So the neutrino is like the sun. Wherever the sun is, the neutrino is like the energy coming from the sun that highlights whatever energy that we're in. So if you look at a transit chart, you'll see throughout life you're going to experience, except for like things like Pluto that won't do a full lap of the solar system in our lifetime, you're going to experience everything.
We see the quarters of it.
Yeah. So we'll experience all the energies because of the transits.
Yes.
We say like we experience, how many times is it? I don't know that how many times. The moon, how many times the moon goes around each year?
Goes 13 times a year. And but then Pluto is like 144 times.
Yeah.
144 years before it makes its orbit is what I think that's right. Yeah. And so I really struggled with human design at the beginning because all I heard about it was like there are these types of things in human design, and I didn't understand any other multi-level amount of that. And so it felt boxy to me when I first heard about it.
Well, that's the thing with why I speak through the 4 lenses, because it's like I'm become very attuned to like giving people what they're ready for. It's like that's sort of I feel the beauty and what it is I do with the systems is like, because I'm working intuitively with my clients. I'll do a session. Usually like the healing would take place like within 45 minutes. And then it's like the last.
And then we're like,
well, obviously everything's with the flow, right? And intuitive. So it's like I do this session, I channel stuff through, and then at the end, I'll look at their design, and then like everything that I've just channeled through and spoken about intuitively will be reinforced, backed up, and validated by their design. Specifically like the gates, to the lines, to there is so much to unpack within human design itself. It goes so much more beyond just like what gates and lines you have. There's like there's nutrition and where best place to live, and your cognition type, your needs, you've got perspectives. Well, there's so much depth to it. I feeling I wanted to say, it's like we can isolate and look at different aspects of whether it's our astrology and human design, but to truly be great or an expert, or to be whatever word you want to use, guru on these things, it's a really being able to see the chart both as their individual aspects, but also collectively as well, or how it all ties in together. How that's where I feel like astrology is really important, because it looks at the aspects of the chart. So it's like really, it's like me having Mars in gate 31, right? It's going to be different for someone that has their Pluto in 31, and how that ties in with the rest of the chart. So it's really just honoring the flavor, but seeing when you mix all the flavors together, what's the what that produces,
Yeah.
or what's the potential for what it produces
Yeah.
as well.
And I really like that, you speak about these four lenses that you work with. And so when you're saying that, you're meaning like you could be weaving astrology, and you could be weaving gene keys, and you could be
Yes.
weaving human design or the I Ching, like
Yeah.
depending on what's coming most prevalently
Yeah,
for that
absolutely.
person.
Like,
And then it feels flexible because
flexible. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. That's my intention for the week.
Well, yeah, it's, I never want to put anyone in the human design box, but it's
Yeah.
sometimes it's like even part of like that growing up phase or that evolutionary phase. It's like you sort of, you start by putting yourself in the box, and then you start taking yourself out of the box, and it's like living through your design or as you design rather than in your design,
being
or
identified
being
in a
identified.
dogmatic way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like when someone says like, I'm an Aries, so I only do Aries things. It's
Yeah.
like saying I'm a generator, I only do generator things. And I think
Yes.
that's where I was like, what? Like
Because
you're only one thing? Like I'm a million things. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm a pure manifesting generator, but on some days, like, yeah, so someone that's like a reflector, but
Yeah.
based on the reflector means that you've got no defined centers within your chart.
Yes.
So it's like on some days they're going to be a pure reflector, but on most days they're going to have the neutrino activating different parts of them. So they've both got to be a reflector and what the neutrino is asking them to be, or what the energy of the present moment is asking from them.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's like being able to take like chew up what you want and spit out what's not right for you, even on any given day. Because with the reflector thing, like I really resonated when I heard people talking about reflectors. Like I was like, oh, I feel like I'm a reflector, but I'm not a reflector, am I?
Well, my mind and my body are a reflector. So when you look at just the mind, you become an emotional projector, and your body is a mental projector, right? So
it's like saying,
which essentially means like if you just look at your chart the day you were born, that'll create a different aura versus when you look at the body, which is 88 degrees before you're born, or 88 days, that'll create a different aura. And then obviously the main way of looking at human design is the combination between the mind and the body and how they come together.
I really love that. Oh, I'm learning so much already.
Yeah.
So maybe should we have a look at my chart and talk a little bit about the fact that I'm a projector as the leading aspect of my chart?
Yeah. So you're an emotional projector.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as I was sort of saying before the podcast, the best way that I work with design is sort of like in session, because it feels quite natural and flowing. And so I'm like working off my client's energy. So let's just see what comes through naturally. So yeah, like if I had never spoken to you before, the first things that really stand out in your design is that you've got two open centers, one undefined center, and then the rest of your centers are defined by channels, right?
So can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously people can't see
an
this.
open center has no hanging gates, has no activations.
And that's those lines that come off that have numbers.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah.
So your spleen is completely open.
Yeah.
Which means you're very good at detecting and having a lot of wisdom around what people fear. You're very open intuitively. You're not going to get fixed or start to intuit things through your own lens. You're going to be quite open to experiencing the fullness or the capacity,
like an unbiased kind of thought in a way.
Obviously, like you can, if you're triggered and in your ego, that's not going to happen. But when you're in a place of service or like, within your own sessions, intuitively, you're going to be so open to detecting exactly what needs to be detected.
And so the spleen is that like
the one on the left side,
left side fully open.
So 7 chakras in human design, the heart has got 2 centers, the G center and the willpower center. That makes up the heart. And then the solar plexus is the spleen and the emotional center. So the solar plexus has now become 2.
Yeah, okay.
You have the willpower center completely open. So we both have this completely open. The difference between you and me is you have no hanging gates pointing towards your willpower center. So yeah, it's like you're not here to prove anything in this lifetime. You're not here to have any consistent supply to willpower. You're going to be going with the flow and like knowing, your sense of, there's a journey with your own sense of self-worth and
Mm-hmm.
feeling and being worthy is
Yeah.
a path that you work with. So
Yeah.
there's never anything bad, or there's nothing ever bad about a design, or there's no judgment, because everything that may be perceived is, whether it's a detriment or negative or an unfavorable circumstance, can be worked with if we are self-aware and we're embracing our true potential. But obviously, if you're someone that isn't on that path, then yeah, life's going to be a bit
Could be
bumpier along
playing
the
out
way.
things in a different way.
Yeah, you know, I truly believe, you know, like from doing the week-long course with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he sort of like was speaking to the audience about how he sat there and he observed his different timelines, and he saw like a pathway that was opening up to him, and all he had to do was choose a different timeline, and he, like, you know, learnt a life lesson, and he changed, you know, the next 6 to 9 months of his life by not having to go through that process. He learned from it, and like, you know, it makes me wonder if that was like some astrological placement that was like some transit that was coming up, and instead of having to deal with the crap of that transit, he just transcended it because he was in such a blissful, embodied, integrated state. It was like, well, I'm, instead of dealing with this, you know, life being hard and learning through pain, suffering, like I'm just gonna I'm gonna take the gift now, and like, instead of going through hardship, I'm gonna share the gift with others. And
what was he like watching him on, like, in person?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's amazing, the space that he holds. Yeah, that was like, I did that in 2018, and in 2018 was one of the best weeks of my life. I'd love to do that again. Like, just the energy, like I felt like I become like, at the end of the week, especially doing like the group healings, I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I felt like a super psychic. Like I could see, feel, sense. I can
imagine.
No, the room was just, you know, when I got there, it was raining, and the whole week we were inside, to the exception of when we weren't, the few times for the walking meditations, whatnot. It was sunny, beautiful. And then as soon as we stopped, it started raining again. The week I was over, it started raining again. It was just, the week was, yeah. Yeah, I've only done one. I'd love to do more. I can imagine they're all different. And I mean, I'm sure the space he holds is always a changing.
Yeah, I've been doing his
evolving
meditations every morning, actually.
Yeah, really enjoying so good.
Yeah, I actually haven't read any of his books though. I need to.
I've got all his books, and like I open them up to pages when I feel I need to, but I don't feel like I need to read it because I already believe in all of his science. It's like I can just, you don't have to. I look at his books and I'm like, mate, you don't have to convince me. I'm on the train.
I'm on the train.
Show me your secrets. Give me those missing. Let me into your inner circle.
It sounds like you're using your right brain when you're connecting with the readings. If you're like, doing it. But anyway. So the other center, so you were saying that my spleen center is really open, and there was another center that there's no gates hanging, or is that the same one?
I mean, your sacral is defined, but it's only defined by your body, right? So like, so consciously,
what does defined mean?
Defined means that you've got activations based on where the planets or the planetary placements are. Obviously the North Node and the South Node aren't planets. Aspects. Yep. So yeah, your on the mind level, your sacral is completely open. So, you know,
does that say I'm very emotional?
It means like, in your mind, like, you need to know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the open centers, even more so with the when they're completely open, it becomes a great source of wisdom and where you're able to actually share. So it's going through your own healing, transformation, evolutionary journey that obviously you take everything that you've learned, because it's also like these open centers are where you're the most conditioned. So everyone has to go through the deconditioning process. You know, Ra says it takes 7 years because that's like how long it takes for like the body to like regenerate, and like the cells in your body have to adapt and recalibrate back into you know, embodiment, being in the body. There's also, you know, the physical body being renewed with the new energy that you're now accepting, or that's become psychoactive through the learnings, the lessons, and
That's
everything that
interesting because
comes
like
through.
the 7 years and like my Saturn return, well, like the 7 year process, that finished as I was in my water fast last year. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
I mean, it's
crazy
that,
for some, but I mean that's just
yeah, yeah.
pure just
What did
alignment.
my astrology? I had an astrology reading at the start of the year, and she said that that choice was so like Saturn in Aquarius. Like, if anything that could be Saturn in Aquarius is like the fact that I was doing like a water fast during that, like the ending of that experience for me, even though Saturn's still in Aquarius. Yeah, it was just, she's like, so now I'm like in the flow of it now, which is really beautiful because I did such like the hard yard.
Yeah, I mean that's what I love about this as well. Like someone that isn't maybe as self-aware or doesn't even know anything about it, it's like even though they're not aware of the systems, they're still living out their astrological placements. They're still
With the choices that you make. Yeah.
choices. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's there's certainly a level of listening to your intuition and being connected to yourself that's required.
Yeah.
But I guess you can be completely disconnected, and that's when you experience the wrath of your placements if you're not making the right choices for yourself.
The universe throws it at you and like, sort your thing out. Like, get it together, because like our destiny or our soul in some way is constantly trying to take us back onto the path that we're here to walk. And if we ignore that, it often blows up in our face in big ways. And that's why people have this crazy Saturn return a lot of the time, is because all the little niggles maybe didn't get fully listened to at the other quarters of Saturn's orbit. Anyway, we're getting off into
I'm here now. I saw what's just coming through is it's like we're deconditioning the mind and the body, right? And this is what this tool is so really good for, in deconditioning the mind and the body. And then like the spirit and soul, it's like we all, if we've chosen or we're choosing to awaken in this lifetime, then like connecting with spirit, whether that's I want to say God, the divine, and then like really honoring our soul and our soul purpose. Through deconditioning, we can see what our true potential is. Because our solar system is the true clock. Like it's what it's 12:03. It's 1:23 right now. And like this is like the man-made time. And obviously it's useful, it's needed, it's not wrong, but like the planets are telling the more truth than anything else right now. And what I mean, what's being sent out of the sun right now is like our true gauge of reality, and how the moon, how close the moon is to the earth, and all that stuff that seems a bit out there. Well, it is out there because we haven't been into space yet. I want to go. I've been saying that to Tyler. I'm like, one day I hope you and I get to go to the moon together, and we can sit there and go, God, look at us. Just one big human family. We're all interconnected. Just look at us.
So beautiful.
Just look at us down there.
Cool.
What are we doing?
We're just making our way.
Yeah.
We are the center of the universe.
Yeah. So I'm all for Richard Branson getting into space, and I say them. 1% of the population, 10% of the population going into space. That'll be a global awakening within itself.
100%.
Your consciousness will shift in such a profound way, because if we go to the moon, it's like taking the fifth person perspective. We're a little bit stuck taking our own egocentric first person perspective. We can look at the other person's perspective, or we can take ourselves outside of look at the third person. But when we go fourth, fifth, we're starting to get much more expanded in our awareness.
I love that.
If we can't do it internally through meditation, then throwing them up into space is a sure way to go. To have that embodied, like, whoa,
like there's something greater than me.
Like they can hide UFOs while we're in the planet, but can they hide UFOs whilst we're outside the planet?
Exactly. So what does it obviously there's so many different aspects that come into this human design. It's not just this aspect of people saying, oh, what are you? I'm a projector, or I'm a reflector. It's actually like, that's like saying I'm an Aquarius or I'm a Capricorn. It's only like one small facet of the experience. Really.
So how many gates are within each astrological sign? And some like I'm signing gate 15, which is both Gemini and Cancer energy. And then there's 6 lines. Or six
Is your
lines
astrology on the cusp of Gemini and Cancer?
Yeah, so I'm born 5.5 hours away from being a Cancerian. So,
Wow. So
you know,
that's where it plays out.
yeah, well, it's like, you know, each degree of Gemini, so it's
Yep.
29 degrees before it resets,
Yep.
30 degrees. You know, each degree of Gemini has a different meaning or a different flavor, a different influence, a different
And a
energy.
different gate, or there's one gate?
Yeah, and then you put it into the gates, right? Each
Yeah.
gate has a different energy within the same sign, and then each line within the gate, and then there's also tones, tones, colors, and there's another one, I forget it off the top of my head, which is another even
like the
deeper
auras.
aspect of the line and the gate. So there is so much nuance beyond.
I love that.
I think I've seen one of those, like someone's made like the picture on Instagram or whatever, like of how many like gates, lines, variations, or how many different incarnation crosses there are, and like all those things. It's like there's thousands of variations of it all, and then it's like within
like
that there's
DNA.
there's millions of variations. So
wow,
so many variables. So
definitely.
I mean, just to sort of cap that off, it's like, you know, looking at this is like one lens. It's like, you know, how can we then bring in like the Myers-Briggs or the you know, the disc and all these other things that sort of, they all sort of come together different ways of the Enneagram's another great one. I just there are so many variables to who we are, our life, our conditioning, our genetics, our soul, our past life experiences. You know, just
So something that people often ask when we're talking about gene keys and they know a little bit more, they ask about like what your inner authority is, or authority is.
Yeah.
So I never understand what they're talking about when they say.
So you're an emotional projector. So for you,
emotional projector,
you need to get emotionally clear before making decisions.
Yeah.
Having a spleen that's completely open, right? Like maybe during your childhood, feeling other people's spontaneous energy has caused you to say yes to things that weren't actually correct for you. You were just feeling their spontaneity and like, oh my God, this feels good.
That
yes, I'll do it. I'll do it because it feels so good and you're so happy and I'm feeling your energy. But really it's like, okay, if I actually take a step back and go into my own energy and sleep on this and then wake up, I'm like, oh, actually it doesn't feel good for me at all. Like actually I need to do this or that. Or
that makes so much sense to me, because like, and then I probably after hearing about reflector, I was like, oh, that sounds like a reflector thing. But that's when you just described that to me, then it makes so much sense, because I have a tendency to like, I think now I know how to understand if it's mine or if it's just excitement. Whereas like I was with Jay the other week and she was talking about she's going to create a program for people to be able to do virtual assistant work, and she's going to do, and it sounded so fun and exciting to me that I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I want to do it, but I don't actually want to do that. And I can identify that I don't actually, it's not in my like my soul's purpose, but I still could get excited about it and be like, oh my God, yeah, I want to do that. But then I don't actually. And so that what you just articulated to me then is pretty much that exact feeling. And so that hits home.
So it's like in what I do with my clients, you know, like so much of my work is around helping people build better boundaries for themselves, whether they're physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, boundaries within their own power or their connection to themselves, and connecting them back into their own authority. So
what are the other authorities that play out?
Off the top of my head, so you've got like the sacral, so listening to your gut, emotional.
And that's what you have?
That's what I have. An emotional authority, a splenic authority, a self-projected authority, a lunar authority, a ego authority, and a mental authority.
Wow, there's so many.
I think that's the 7 of them.
Yeah, wow. And then so that would then go into play with either being like a man-gen or a projector.
Yeah, it links in with all the aura types.
And so then you would be like you're a gut, what did you say? A sacral.
Yeah. So that's to follow my gut. That's like
sacral manifesting generator. Is that what you would call
it?
Well,
it's I'm a pure manifesting generator. So if I had my emotional center defined, I'd be an emotional manifesting generator. So that would mean that like it's important for me to listen to my gut. And if my gut's saying yes, it's like, okay, then I need to get emotionally clear on it. But if it's like my gut's saying no, then it's like, well, I don't need to get emotionally clear on this because my gut's already saying like it's a no for me. Well, maybe I need to check in. Maybe it's like I need to say, hey, right now it's like my gut's saying no. Like maybe ask me in like 3 days or next week, and like if the gut says yes, and then get emotionally clear on it, it's a yes. Then you do need to keep checking in. But you know, you're in a
Perfect. And so I know that the majority of the population falls into the manifesting generator slash
The percentage, I think most people are a generator and a manifesting generator both have their sacral defined, and that I do from memory, it's like 70% of the population.
So what does it mean to you to be a manifesting generator since you are one?
Like what I resonate with being a manifesting generator is like I can do multiple things at once and have like multiple projects going.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to like jump ahead and then like fill in the blanks of what I've missed, and I just like from this is where it can become, it's important to look at what the channels are that
Mm-hmm.
make up
Yeah.
being a manifesting generator, because for me, like I feel like I really want to talk through I'm a single definition, which means I don't have any disconnects between my defined centers.
Yep.
So I have the 29,
the spleen, the sacral.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, continue.
So you have your split definition.
Yes.
So your emotional center is connected to your root center,
Yep.
but those two centers aren't connected by channels to the rest of the definition that you have.
Yeah, but yours are.
Yeah, I've got one definition, single definition. So, I got the 2946, which is being in the right place at the right time. My life is literally about serendipity, and I've got to follow my gut, which is, my sacral is only defined by my south node. So that brings, I feel, a different flavor in for me again.
Wow.
And then what makes me a manifesting generator is the 1020 channel, the channel of awakening. So that's a self-projected channel, and I need to be asked. So, definitely really feeling the truth of, when I'm actually called, when I've got something to respond to, that's where the best of me comes out. So yeah, I guess where I've been bridging is like, for someone that might have different channels that make up a manifesting generator, they can be initiating a lot more and pushing a lot more out into the world. Whereas I feel like a lot more of my energy is, even looking at my cognition, I'm very right-minded. So I'm passive and receptive, and I'm an observer. Whereas people with a different, there's someone that's like quite active and will be different again. So yeah, this is where the nuances of what it means to be a manifesting generator, you really need to look at the channels, the cognition, and whatever else feels relevant.
So how you were saying then that that type that you are in the relation to those different, the way that the definition comes through, and like you said about needing to almost like wait till you can respond to something to know if it's right for you. Is that different than waiting for the invitation? Because that's the keywords that I hear a lot as a projector.
Yeah.
It would obviously be different or it could be
playing. Well, I feel like sometimes I just the more present I am, my channel is the 1020, which is the behavior of self in the now. The 20 is all about being present,
in the now.
Being present in the now. So yeah, the more I slow down and the more receptive I am, I can feel more things to respond to, and the nuances of like, oh, like someone talking, like I'm just responding, or I'll be reading a Facebook post, I start reading something, I'm just like, my body's just like feels like nothing. Like it's like, I don't need to read this, right? So I'm just like, if I scroll through Facebook, it's like I'm feeling where my body's like
pulling you.
Yeah.
And so what does this wait for the invitation thing mean, that you hear this like kind of
so it's waiting for like a projector's waiting for an invitation or waiting for recognition. So you're waiting for,
so it's like confirmation.
In a
sense. Yes. So like, for example, I put a women's circle on the weekend, and I had someone email me the next day and send me this beautiful thank you. She's come to a bunch of my events and a bunch of my women's circles. And it was a really like solid confirmation of like confirming my purpose. Like everything that she said was the things that like I feel is like my soul's purpose. And so that to me is like, oh, there's like a confirmation there. So that's kind of what the recognition that you're talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a difference between being a splenic projector, where you like get that like spontaneous intuitive hit, which could be really subtle or could be really big, and it doesn't come around again. So it's like, feel for all you splenic projectors out there, you require, there's a very fine line, nuance or subtle specialized, you got to really back yourself. You got to have, you got to be connected to yourself. Whereas being an emotional projector, you've got more time to sit with the emotions and the feelings.
It's funny, like everything that you say, like I fit it into astrology in my head because my brain just like works
Well,
astrology
it should.
in
It,
that
it
way.
works the same way. It's just a different way of
But
saying the
it's
same
really
thing, isn't it?
helping me understand it because I for so long was just like, what? Nah. So what the other key types that play out are manifestors, generators, and reflectors, correct? There's nothing other than that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
They're the main aura types. Yep.
And so obviously you've got manifesting generator like yourself, and then you've got the different definitions and obviously different numbers that play out different things. And then you can have just manifestor type or just generator type. And so is a manifesting generator technically like the combination of the two, or is there something else
Yeah.
more going on?
So manifestor has to initiate and inform. So as a manifesting generator, it's like the thing. This as I'm saying this, I could do a lot better at, especially like in business and whatever. It's like it's putting questions out there or initiating like little things and waiting to get the response. So I'm like initiating so I can respond to my own initiator and what I'm informing into the world. Whereas like a pure manifester just needs to like let people in their life know what they're doing, or the people involved what they're doing. They need to initiate and inform their intention, and then it's sort of like it all sort of happens. Whereas I still need to like respond and I need to make sure that I've got the life force energy for what it is that I need to do.
Yeah. And then a generator, they're like I always think of like them as like Energizer bunnies, but I don't think that's
they're also
correct.
known as you've got a consistent supply to life force energy, the sacral energy. Builders, are a lot more step by step, a lot more consistent. They're also, they're known as builders.
I didn't know that. So generators
are
known as builders.
Yeah, I mean, there are people like Karen Curry who's taken like human design and like renamed those types. So they like that's the traditional human design names. Like I think in 64 keys, they call I think Karen Curry calls a manifesting generator a time bender, and then like in the 64keys.com they call a manifesting generator a specialist. So once again, even within the system, there's different like it's like this is like I don't want to be rigid, right? It's like I'm waiting to I'm sure there's going to be like they say that if you give a fake Morse code versus a real Morse code to people, the real Morse code is easier to learn because it's already in the collective. It's part of the collective wave. And when you give the false one, it's like harder because they're learning something completely new. So I mean, what I say with like a lot of the things that I do, it's like I don't need to learn things the traditional way from the basics because enough people in the collective already learnt it. And it's like I can just tap into, I think it's the morphogenic field or the field where it already holds the information, and I can use that energy to bring forward. So like I'm excited to see like when so many people have learned human design and it's so thick in the collective, or it's like it's in the what's going to emerge, and like there's going to be another system. I believe I don't want to, maybe in the next, it'll start emerging. A new religion will emerge where it will be integrated, where it will look at all the current religions, and we will, like take everything that's true and healthy and a part of a solid framework to helping a human move from, move out of descension into ascension, or move from birth to death, and to move through the cycles of life, and to really help us be grounded in like what is this reality. Because I mean, so many people don't believe in reincarnation, so many people don't believe in so many things. It's not really clear what life is. And but through the evolution and the development of the human consciousness, we will bring forward and we'll emerge newer, deeper understandings. And
love it. I really like what you say about that experience. And like, I mean, real experience and knowledge comes from experiencing something rather than like reading it in a book. Like I think it's very left brain to think that you get knowledge from reading something and like learning it in that way, whereas you fully embody something when you've experienced it. And the thing that it made me think of with that, how you're saying like enough people in the collective have experienced this, so therefore I will then know it in a different way. Have you heard of the 100th monkey
Yeah,
thing?
absolutely.
Like, that's
I
exactly
started
what
a
it's all.
I started a meetup group called the 100th Monkey
Did
Effect.
you?
Yeah, like
Oh my god,
2014.
I
I
love
was like,
that.
yeah.
So do you want to talk us through what the 100th monkey is then? Because I'm
Well,
sure there's some people
yeah.
that don't know
I
what
do
it
want to
is.
say, like, it's
Go.
like knowledge comes out of us,
Yeah.
wisdom comes through us.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. The 100 monkey effect. You know, I think I've already sort of spoken about it with my desire for everyone to go into space. Is when enough, well, what is it? The monkeys, when a monkey figured out if you wash the dirty potatoes that you could eat the potatoes. And it's like,
once 100 monkeys
yeah,
learned it, then all the monkeys on even
all around the world
knew it.
Yeah, without having to. Obviously, monkeys don't go, "G'day, mate. Did you know?"
Yeah. Yeah. And so the test was that they had tested to teach these monkeys this thing. And once 100 monkeys learnt it, then all the
Yeah.
monkeys in other islands that didn't even like have a direct
There are
link.
so many more stories of this happening as well
Yeah.
throughout the world. And you even look at, like, you know, a technological revolution. You know, it's like one country figures out something, or one part of the world figures out something. It's like it arises within the collective.
Yeah.
We're not disconnected
Even
from each other.
space.
Believe it or not, we're not
I
disconnected from each
know.
other.
We're far more connected than we realize. And then science has even proven that. So yeah.
It depends on what science you believe in. Just science.
True that.
So.
Anything and reflectors is the last kind that we
Yeah,
have.
so waiting. Oh yeah, that's the authority that I think I missed. Waiting a lunar cycle.
Awaiting. Oh yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard of
it'll-
that one. And that's more reflectory.
Yeah, a reflector has to talk about and like connect with people, and
then take a loan.
and yeah, wait a lunar cycle to gather enough information, or to speak, or to reflect back into the world who they are.
Yeah.
To gather, yeah. I don't know what to say there.
They could be overly sympathetic.
I think I would say that it's an embodied knowing of what's right for them based on the lunar
because
cycle.
they tend to merge and mold to other people, and that's why I was saying that I felt I related to it when I first read it.
I'm gonna say this is my own thing here. It's like, as a reflector, being connected to your higher self. You know, it's like, whilst I'm connected to my sacral and I like lead from my sacral, I also listen to my heart. I also listen to my mind. I also listen to, you know, connect to my higher self, or I can connect, you know, if I want to connect to a guardian angel, or speak to an ancestor, you know, like, where do we want to connect into? Where can we get different answers? But yeah, it's I sort of just saw myself, like, you know, because my mind and body are both reflectors. I sort of resonate with a deep part of it. It's like seeing myself standing on my balcony at the full moon and just connecting with the moon, and just like being in that presence, and like just knowing those things that land for me in that space, where I'm like, more of Sean's out of the way, and I'm feeling, whether it's, am I feeling the collective, I'm feeling myself, I'm feeling the expansiveness, right? And like that's where, like, you know, that clarity that comes in, where it's like, it's the embodied clear, where it's clear knowing, or just that knowingness comes through. I would just say that that's what a reflector would experience.
Amazing. Is your dominant claircognizance?
I would say clear empathy, to be honest. But my sort of least is buoyancy. I do feel know, like I feel other people's energy in my body. I hear, and sometimes I do see, and I do have like eyes open, clairvoyant experiences, but I don't so much like
lead with that.
See everyone's auras, or I don't lead or lean on my clairvoyancy to guide me. Because I feel like that's I would say, like, I don't wouldn't really call myself like a psychic. I call myself more of like an intuitive empath, and it's like a channel, and I just sort of like really present with my clients' experiences. I say, like, the more of Sean can get out of the way, the better I operate. So and it's like we all have our own gifts, and you know, like some people I know are, you know, their abilities are more like about like lucid dreaming or astral projecting, or you know, like I 100% believe in like telepathy, mind control, teleporting. And I think with the newer religion, I think, you know, human beings evolutionary have the capacity to turn on their junk DNA, and, you know, maybe we need to scientifically create starports or
Yeah.
you know,
Or we just need to activate our right brain more deeply and actually use the full breadth of
yeah,
what we are able
that
to
too.
do.
Yeah, so evolutionary, you know, a soul or a human being activating all of their virtues will give them a greater capacity to bend more laws of existence,
Yeah.
or the laws that govern our existence.
Yeah.
And yeah, the more, you know, the more virtuous we are, the more of reality that we're able to play with. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely. And so, like, when we've had sessions together, because obviously you've given me a few theta healing sessions, and I can witness what you're talking about in terms of being like an intuitive channel and the things that come through. And a lot of ancestral stuff has come through, and we've worked together. I know you've been working through some of your own
yeah.
sort of aspects of that too. Is that something that comes through for a lot of sessions? Or?
Yeah, well, I would never call myself a medium. However, like I don't see people's loved ones that are passed over, but I can very clearly, like, just recently I'm thinking of a woman, like, she come to me and husband just passed. I knew he was there. Like, we both knew that he was there, and I was the channel for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not trained as a medium. It's just,
No.
you know, I mean, my human design, I've also, you know, got my mind is open to my ajna. So I feel like how that serves me in my session is so many of my sessions are like completely outside of the box of what Sean thinks and believes. So
I could resonate.
yeah, the more I get out of the way, yeah, well,
I
yeah.
work in a similar way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't even like, I'm just because I see people, well, I don't see, but I can feel people's loved ones, like if there's like ancestral like connections and things like that. Like always when I'm balancing at the end, I can always feel if there's if I tap into, if I don't ask the question, sometimes I come through so like strongly. I'm like, oh hey, hey mom.
Yeah. So I mean, if someone come to me and they're like, "Can you please connect to my loved
Yeah.
one?" I don't actually think that I would naturally.
Yeah.
I would be like, don't put that pressure on me.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't have the confidence around being a medium. But like, yeah, like if a loved one or that needs to come through, then it'll come through. I'm open to anything coming through. You know, I mean, I've worked in the dark arts as well and through a journey, and like I've seen some things come through that unless I had those sessions recorded, but most people would not believe the things that I've seen on the table. And even, I don't know, yeah, some real kooky, demonic things that I've seen come through people's vessels that are, you got to see it to believe it, maybe.
Amazing. So I'm going to ask a few questions that I ask everyone.
Go for it.
What we already have established that you're a Gemini. But what is your
Gemini
moon?
Cancer.
Gemini Cancer, Casparian. What is your moon and your rising sign?
Yeah, so we're both a Capricorn moon.
Yes, we have the matching Capricorn moon.
Yes.
And what's your rising again?
Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I have a a lot of Gemini third house. I have a lot of.
Where's your north node?
Aquarius.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the fourth house in Cancer.
Interesting.
So I have a lot of Gemini, Cancer, Capricorn, and some strong Scorpio energy there.
Yeah. I have a lot of Cancer, Capricorn, interestingly.
Yeah. Well, I think that's maybe part of why we have a lot of resonance, because it's that opposition, that polarity between Cancer, Capricorn.
Yeah, Alex and I play into that as well, because he's got the Cancer moon and the Cancer rising.
Yeah, I'm an absolute magnet for women that have their sun in Cancer. Like friends, lovers, just people in general.
So cool. And we've already established your human design, so I didn't ask that question. What is your favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit?
You knew that Kristin was going to ask you this question.
Well, I didn't, but my stock standard answer is I don't have favorites for anything. I'm a Gemini. I love variety. But I'm going to say, as a kid, it was like really passion fruit. Mangoes are these days. Mangoes. I love getting a good box of mangoes, cutting them all up, putting them in the blender with just the right amount of coconut water, freezing it in ice cube trays. And then, it's like my after dinner treat. It's just the coconut water makes the mango like that creaminess. I do love a good nectarine as well.
Have you tried durian?
Yeah.
Do you like durian?
Yeah. I do wish, I watch a bit of TikTok. Sometimes I see like these fruits and whatever that are like grown in different parts of the world. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I want to try it. I love fruit.
Me too. You know, there's a durian that tastes like peanut butter. And
Right.
there's a fruit that is peanut butter fruit. It's like a berry.
Yeah, I'm not
kind of big
surprised.
berry. I would love to try that. Anyway, are you more of an ocean or a forest person?
Oh, I go where I feel called to go.
I can't pick between those two.
I need both, to be honest. Like,
Do you resonate more with fairies or mermaids?
Why is it only fairies or mermaids?
Okay, what do you think of it? Tell me.
I don't know if it's like my Irish bloodline or whatever that becomes through.
Got that Celtic shamanism coming through.
Spirits said to me like leprechauns, but like my Sean's like, oh, I don't want to say that. What have I been taught? You know, when you like, you know, people talk about what star seed you are and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What did people? Oh, I don't want to say, it's not goblin. An elf. Like I've been told that I have like a lot of elf energy.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's funny. There's another resonance.
Elven.
Yeah. I used to have that question as yoga or Pilates, but I started.
You so look like you so got like the like Lord of the Rings elf
vibe. I've never watched Lord of the Rings. Oh my gosh. If you could experience a moment in your life again, what would you pick?
Wow, it's hard not to say the birth of my son.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
you can just pick that if you want.
No, what's the context? Is it like you ask me like what's
whatever
the favorite?
You want.
I feel like part of me, like as I've said that, I was like, I want to go back and experience my own birth again.
Oh yeah, like, I love that. We should all experience each other's
I would love to go there and maybe do it in spirit. Go there and like it's okay. They didn't know how to give birth to babies properly. Forgive them.
I know. Oh my gosh, that's birth trauma.
Yeah.
Is there a certain plant or flower that you connect or work with the most?
Well, this year it would be hard not to say. Like ayahuasca has been part of my life in 2021, and so have magical little mushrooms. Without going down that pathway,
or any subtle plants.
I have some house plants that I don't know the name of. Yeah, I have a nice tree around the corner from my house that I like going to. I have a tiger lily tattooed on me.
You're such a Gemini. You can't pick one thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite crystal?
Well,
you're allowed to pick more than one. I'll allow it.
I have to say that my favorite crystal is Moldavite, purely based on the experiences I've had from Moldavite. That's been a very potent, powerful, transformational crystal for myself.
Yes.
Allowed me to have lucid dreams, and I had like a lucid dream to an out of body experience through having Moldavite, and took it into my last medicine journey, and that felt quite epic. When I wore it consistently every day for I think 18 months, 2 years, and that was
enough?
It was enough. I recently wore it for a little bit again, and then I just don't feel like I need it. But I mean, I actually my awakening, like a big awakening that I had was I had a Reiki, one of my first Reiki sessions. I had a clear quartz wand with an amethyst ball that my spiritual mother had taken around. I call her my spiritual mother because I feel like she was my she birthed me into spirituality. She'd taken that around the world and like meditated with it at like different sacred sites and at the pyramids and whatnot. And when she put that on my chest, it was like I felt like this basketball of energy, just like when I was like, oh, all those times I've said crystals are woo-woo.
I'm good about it.
I'm changed.
I love it. Clear quartz is one of my favorites.
I would have to agree. I feel the master crystal of clear quartz is quite just. I like it. I want to say like it's good for holding space. Holding the present moment. I do like holding just 2 bits of clear quartz in my hands and just allowing the clear quartz to bring through the energy that I need, rather than being like, I need citrine because of this.
Because of this or that. Yeah. Do you have a spirit animal that you would be open to sharing that you connect with?
I would,
Or
yeah,
if you were an animal?
I really resonate with like the monkey and the playfulness. And in my first medicine journey I did with ayahuasca, I feel like spirit like showed me like me as a monkey, where I was like, especially what I'm stepping forward into wanting to do and being more authentic and expressive of what I stand for and believe in. It's like, as a monkey, I feel like I need to be prepared to play any game, like from the darkness to the light, and being okay. Like it's all just lighthearted. It's all just fun. Like these things that I'm speaking about, it might be a little bit heavy and hard, but it's all just like it's for the greater good. You know, it's like I'm just playing. Like I just want to play and play. I want to do everything.
Yeah. I feel like monkeys are very present as well. Like the
Yeah.
playfulness, like with the presence of it, just like
But more recently, yeah, I feel like I've been working like with the jaguar and the black panther, walking through my own shadows. Actually, it's interesting. I every now and then, just randomly, I like ask like, what energy am I working with? And I got the elephant. Yes, just yesterday. Had some bush turkeys come to me yesterday, which were fighting when I was on my balcony, which felt like they gave me a message. Yeah, I do work with animals a lot. That I see them as quite symbolic, both, you know, whether I see them clairvoyantly in my sessions or like, you know, going into nature and what animal comes up to me. There's definitely, I work closely with animals, healed a lot of animals, and I love animals. They're beautiful teachers and messengers.
Good segue into pulling an oracle card from your favorite deck that you always pull from when you come to my house.
Is it? No, I thought,
well, you always go that one. It's not animals, but there's animals in there.
Didn't do the fairies one last time? Huh. I didn't even realize. Am I going to pull a card, or are you going to pull a card?
You're going to pull the card. I'll read it. Pass me the book, please. Thank you. So this is a card for us and for the collective.
All right.
Moment. If you put that intention in.
Okay, that was quick.
What have you got? Shield Maiden. Make plans and focus. She looks kind of like me.
I feel like saying that. I feel like that's for us, right?
Yeah. And you want to do another one?
Yeah, and I feel like I want to do one for the collective, because you did put that in. You did put a multiple intent in there as well.
Yeah, for this.
So yeah,
someone will resonate with this.
But I think we maybe need to do some more regular podcasts together. I think that's
you enjoyed this.
Yeah, this is good.
So I'll read the Shield Maiden first, who you may resonate with, or then Sean can read the second one because he just wanted to read another one. That's why.
Not at all.
So the Shield Maiden, the message is: have a plan or strategy in place before moving forward. The Shield Maiden is the female knight in shining armor. In Viking traditions, women were seen as equal to men and so joined them on their raids and fought with them on the battlefield. In this deck, the Shield Maiden brings a fiercely feminine energy, the power to be a warrior while retaining feminine sensitivity. She is ready to put her plan into action. She is ready to go into battle. Her medicine helps us move beyond any unsettling feelings when our plans start to take shape and follow through with our strategies in order to be where we want to be. Shield Maidens worked together in times gone by to create shield walls of protection, so she also shows us how to work with others in order to bring our plans to fruition. Really beautiful. So it's talking about assessing the next steps of the plan and have your plan in place and know that you're protected enough, I think, before worrying about how it's going to play out. Beautiful. What was the other card?
Well, I actually want to ask you to read this one. Okay. I wouldn't mind maybe speaking into it after you've read it.
Beautiful.
Like you
so
did
we've
after
got the Water Guardian. Connect with your emotions. Are you sure this isn't for you?
Isn't that for all of us?
Exactly.
Come on.
Take time to understand how you really feel. Know that your sensitivity is not a curse, but a gift that allows you to receive and understand messages directly from your soul. Water is the element that is in your blood, your tears, and your flesh. The Water Guardian represents the angels of water who can help you dive within to understand the depth of your emotions. These angels are all about helping you to see that your emotions aren't just the feelings that are on the surface, they are also the old emotions you have locked deep. Through helping you acknowledge your deepest emotions, the angels of water will help you to hear the messages these have for you and to unlock your intuitive powers and the energies of abundance. Anything further you want to add, Sean?
Yeah. I love that. Does yes, it feels relevant to myself. And yeah, I mean everyone, it's like we to bring this all back, tying it all together, the deconditioning, like we require to resolve or deal with the unresolved emotional issues, traumas, patterns that exist within our genetic line, within from our childhood. And yeah, it's like allowing ourselves to see all the bad or ugly things that have happened in our life, whether self-created or happened to us, all hold the potential for our greatest gifts, our talents to emerge, our ability to become more than our past and our experiences.
I love it. And embody your emotions, be okay with it, and know that you're still protected if you're tapping into them. So anything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carl Gray and the Angels and Ancestors Oracle.
Thank you. Yeah.
So if people wanted to connect with you for a session or reach out, or like how is there a certain way that you like to show up online? How could they do that? Sean?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going through a bit of a transition with all that at the moment. I mean, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and
your website?
Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and my website. So yeah, I've got a booking system where people can book straight in. At the moment, I'm offering like a free, no obligation guidance call, just to see if we're in alignment. I currently offer like what I feel people need. So if I feel like you need 3 sessions, 4 sessions, 8 sessions, 2 sessions, or I need to point you in the right direction, I do that. That's part of the guidance call. And yeah, I'm looking at changing my packaging at the moment, and changing the way I offer things. I'm currently offering individual sessions, single sessions, but I'm gonna move away.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, I want to move away from that
because online as well, don't you?
Yeah, online and face to face. I don't find there to be any real difference between online and face to face, except for there's a little. There's no difference in the results, but obviously there's a different feel.
I can see the way that you do sessions would work really well online or in person, and it would feel the same.
Yeah,
like I definitely could feel that.
Yeah.
And I'll put your website and your handles and things in the show notes. But it's Sean Kolders.
Yep. It's SEAN and Kolders with a K. Such a simple sounding name, so easily misspelled.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been such an exciting and fun, and I've learned a lot through the human design and astrology chats as well. So thank you for expanding us a little bit further today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'd love to do it again, and maybe we can bounce more off each other's energy, and really bring some awesome wisdom through together in a symbiosis, synergy.
Yes. If you enjoyed this symbiosis, let us know. And we'll see you next time.